What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Father and Son Gaming Podcast right here on Active Reload Gaming. My name is Kobe, aka Kobe127. That is Kevin, aka Octane699. And we also have a returning special guest, aka DjSotoLive. We're coming at you from YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok today. So welcome to everyone. First, I'm going to pass it off to you, Dad. How you doing?
Not too bad, actually. Trying to finish my Silent Hill Remake 2 before Silent Hill F drops, so working on that. And I was actually at a place this weekend, and I know we got viewers from all over the country, but for any of those that are in the Berks County, PA area, I was actually in the Berkshire Mall, for those people that know that, and I ran into a place called Lounge Around Games. And what a really neat concept. It's they had a lot of retro gaming consoles set up. You come in, you pay, I guess it's pay by the hour, and you get to play a good selection of games. Because I always I'm a retro collector, so what a great way to get people into retro game collecting. Let them go in there, pay some bucks to sit down and play a console that they've never played before they actually go out and drop that coin on getting it. So it was a really cool place, and they're not sponsoring this. This is truly just me saying that I love the concept, and me being the retro game collector, and I just like that it could give people the chance before they step into a physical game store and buy something that they may not like.
So what's this place called?
It's called Lounge Around Games in the Berkshire Mall in Reading, Pennsylvania.
The Berkshire Mall, is that still kicking?
It is still kicking. It's the only mall in Berks County, so yeah, it's still doing well.
Yeah, for context for everyone, we're all from the Pennsylvania area. I mean, I'm in Seattle now for any new viewers, but yeah, the Berkshire Mall, I remember a lot in there, and I think there's even like an arcade in there too.
There was. I don't think it's there anymore. I don't think it's there. I mean, I could be wrong, Kobe. We just kind of walked in, didn't mean to do anything, and I ran across this place, and I'm like, no, that's a cool concept, with me being the retro guy.
That's awesome. I'm gonna pass it off. DJ, how you doing? It's been quite a bit since you've been on here, but welcome back to the show. How you been doing? What have you been up to?
Oh, thanks so much. It's good to be back, guys. I hope you had a good fun time at PAX. But man, it's been busy over here. We've been live streaming Path of Titans. It's like a new game. I don't. Maybe you're going to ask later where we're playing, but that's what I've been messing with. I can get into it when we get to that part of it. Yeah. But yeah, just doing a lot of streaming and just kind of growing a community. And so, yeah, that's been pretty much about it.
That's awesome to hear, and we do have a few people in chat saying hello to Shemplu and Lady as they join us for this live conversation. Great to have you two right now. So yeah, just a little bit of housekeeping. As always, we are Active Reload Gaming. You can find us on all of our socials right here. You can see it in the middle of the screen. On Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, we are at Active Reload Gaming. On Twitter or X and Twitch, we are at Active Rel. That is with an REL, Active Rel Gaming. We're also looking to expand this podcast and platform onto other social media platforms such as Blue Sky and Spotify. We're going to be getting the MP3 tracks ripped from the videos, and we're going to start sending it up to there. I'm in the process of actually getting that all sorted out, as there is a couple technical pieces that do need to happen. Thank you to whoever just scanned the QR code. I see that we had that. Appreciate that greatly. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Lets you know, huh?
Yeah, next order of business is the QR code, which links right to our Discord. We could come hang out with us. We like to hear from everyone as we are trying to build a gaming community and to just talk about all things video games, whether it's your recent pickups, what you're playing for the weekend, current gaming news, what you think about the industry and such. We're welcoming all, and we'd like to have each and every one of you in there to kind of chat along with us. And plus, you get important information updates as we post them. So yeah, beyond that, we do have a few topics coming up in the pipeline. Let me just throw up this graphic right here. So today we're obviously talking about can live service games truly work, and talking about Helldivers 2, a review 1 year later. As I've been playing it, DJ's been playing it. Not sure if my dad got around to it, but he has played Helldivers 2 many of times. On September 29th, we're going to be going over the Tokyo Game Show. Tokyo Game Show is happening this weekend, and there are lots and lots lots of announcements happening. Xbox is having its own panel along with Capcom, Kojima Productions. There's a lot going on with this showcase happening this weekend. So stay tuned as we're going to break down what we truly liked from Tokyo Game Show, what we think is exciting, anything that may help others or, expose games that people might not be as exposed to. And lastly, on October 6th, as my dad alluded to, we're going to be going over Silent Hill F and just kind of going over horror games as a whole. My dad has been getting into a pretty big horror era recently. So let's just talk about horror games, as that is a huge part of the industry. And there's so many horror games that come out each year, some good, some amazing, and some really bad. So we're going to talk about what is the art of horror games, what really makes a good horror game truly makes things scary.
I just want to add to that I know it's one further, but on October 13th we will have the professional NASCAR racer on, Ryan Ellis, to talk about the NASCAR game coming out the day before. So we will have a professional NASCAR racer on talking about the perspective of being in a game. He's a gamer himself, so forth and so on. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation to talk to someone who is in the active process of a sports video game. As much as I used to play sports games once upon a time, I know you did. DJ, were you ever a sports game player at any point?
No, not really. The only one that I got into, not to get off track, is Rematch. I've been playing a ton of that. That's the only sports game I've played in a while.
Yeah.
And I know they actually have professional athletes as skins in that. So, I mean, just kind of getting into the nitty gritty of, what goes into a sports video game, how much of your input is there? In the NASCAR sense, is it are they fully scanning you? Are they scanning your car? What's happening? So I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had.
And I think even bigger too, because this is what I said before. This guy's a professional NASCAR racer. He's in it, but he's also a gamer. So you get pigeonholed into, hey, this guy's a NASCAR racer, but on his spare time to relax, all he does is video games. So I think that's what's going to be cool, to kind of get to see the guy behind the scenes.
100%. And lastly, in last bits of housekeeping business, we are looking to expand content for Active Reload Gaming. It's something that we've been working on behind the scenes. We're starting to think of new things, and essentially we're going to maybe start rolling out 2 pieces of content, which is one video game book club. I came to this idea to my dad the other day, and I was like, hey, what if we ran a video game book club where each month we set a game for us and the audience to play, and we come and we talk about it, and just kind of go over, does this game hold up? It doesn't always have to be old. It doesn't always have to be new. It's whatever we're kind of feeling. We're going to start setting the games for a book club and start getting into that process. So stay tuned for that as we announce more information. Along with, I am building a new PC. Thanks to Shemplu in the chat for kind of helping me through the process and picking out a whole bunch of new parts, as I haven't built a new PC in forever. But we'll probably start streaming some games as well, especially some of the games that we've been talking about. There's a lot of games coming out. I game pretty much nightly, so might as well, throw it on for a stream and just hang out with the audience. So that's kind of all orders of business for us on the housekeeping side. It's been a very busy week with everything.
I would stream, but you guys don't want to watch me stream. Trust me.
I think that's the fun part, is they want to see the old man's, they want to see the old man stream. We want to see you struggle a little bit, because you keep clowning on us, saying, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. We can give you Pac-Man the stream.
Come on
it's
now.
okay.
Come on now.
Something more your
Come
speed.
on now. It's elder abuse. Come on. I'm not that
bad. Yeah. For context, we had a long, heavy debate of whether or not a difficulty slider should be in a Souls-like game a few weeks back. So for anyone who's joining in, Party Muffin says book club sounds fun. I love to chat with others about games. So it seems like we got some good interest in there. So yeah, I do want to take a step back. We talked about how we're doing. So DJ, I want to start with you, as you alluded to it. What have you been playing? You talked about Path of Titans. You talked about Rematch. Run that down.
Yeah. So I've been talking to my chat recently, because at the end of the day, ultimately, I'm a variety streamer. I discovered that about myself. More power to other streamers who can, they'll just rock Fortnite every day, 4 or 5 hours. And that's awesome. Fortnite's a fantastic game. I just couldn't do the same game for hours for an unlimited amount of time. That being said, I've been playing Path of Titans for 3 weeks straight. because usually we do like 2 or 3 games or 2 to 3 days at a time for a particular game, and then we're just switching it off. And that's just like when I sit down to stream. Lately, I've been that's like my approach. What game do I want to stream today? What's my desire? And I kind of go with that. And so with that kind of leads to 2 to 3 days and then switching on and off. I tried to do the schedule thing and it just didn't work for me. So it is very unusual for me to land on a game for more than a week. And then now I'm 3 weeks into Path of Titans. Path of Titans is a dinosaur survival MMO game. So you're a dinosaur. They throw you in this world. You hatch from an egg. And you have 2 objectives. One is to grow from a baby to an adult, is number one, and then number 2 is just to survive, because there's 100 other players on the server doing the same thing, and they might be a carnivore, you might be a herbivore, they need to eat, they're going to try to fight you, you need to go find berries. So it's kind of like a DayZ-esque survival experience, and we've just been rocking that. And actually, to be honest, it's been probably my most successful stream to date. I've had
Really?
like higher streams for like maybe a day for like like mixed reality or VR, but as far as like a particular game, the highest views, the highest likes, the highest gifts, all those things have been with Path of Titans, and I really like the game, so it's kind of like that kind of goes hand in hand. So it's been very popular, hundreds of concurrent viewers. We probably have over 100,000 views for Path of Titans alone. So I've been digging that. That's what I've been rocking. Today we did some VR. It was the first time in 3 weeks we've switched off of Path of Titans, but that's a fun game. It's a little bit of an acquired taste because it's not like there's no end game, there's no way to win the game, and there's no like scoreboard, that type of thing. It's just you live as a dinosaur and try to exist. So I've been rocking some Path.
I've actually been watching.
I've caught a few of your live streams. Yeah.
Which one? The Path streams?
Yeah.
I've caught a few and I've been watching because growing up I was always a dinosaur fan, and I'm like, what is this? And it just looks pretty chill. So
yeah, I pulled it up.
That's great
I pulled it up a year ago and got bored real quick because I was going through the mindset of what's the end game, how do you win it, and I just got bored real fast. Just kind of like, oh, let me pull it out again. And then when I switched to like I know you played DayZ before. It's kind of like. So you know that they drop you in the world and they say good luck, and there's no way to win, and you're just walking a lot and trying to survive. That's kind of the same idea. So it feels like DayZ but with dinosaurs a little bit. So it's been a blast. Had a good time.
Hey, that's awesome. And I think it just shows how many unique games are out there, and a lot of games that do go under the radar. But it's cool to see that this is actually gaining so much traction for you. That's awesome to hear. VR went and happened today, and so you played some games there. Anything else?
No, just we're doing this Frost Survival VR, probably one of the better VR survival games. Real simple. You're kind of marooned on this, like, I don't even know if it's like an island or Alaska. It's some frozen tundra, and you're supposed to like survive. And there seems to be a story kind of evolving. There's like you're picking up notes. It has a forest-esque kind of vibe to it, maybe green hell, but set in the winter, and it's a really good game. So I've been rocking that's a new one I've been rocking, Frost Survival VR. And then we pulled out some old ones like Star Trek VR, kind of the bridge one where you're on the bridge, and that one's a really underrated game as well. But yeah, so getting back into VR a little bit, doing a lot of Path of Titans. But yeah, the fall's looking pretty good, especially what's the we're going to be talking about the Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders is coming
that's
soon.
That's going to be good.
So, Dad, you said you've been playing Silent Hill 2 Remake. Is how you enjoying it, and is there anything else that you've been playing?
Yeah, no, I just figured I'd try to really jump on this. And who's the team that made it? Bloober,
the Chronos
team. And I know we kind of touched upon it when we reviewed Chronos last week, but getting into it and playing it, the Silent Hill remake, they hit that out of the park. Like it runs and feels like a 2025 game. Like I forgot, and I played it back then. I just forgot how good that actually was. So no, that's all I've been pretty much playing. I take that back. I'm sorry. I put in RoboCop. I've been playing the second RoboCop.
We talked about it, and I was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and I gave that game a 6 out of 10, and I said it was very stuttery, very buggy, but it's still RoboCop at the end of the day.
I actually text Kobe, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you weren't exaggerating when you said stuttering. Like, wow.
Yeah. The game is a stuttering mess.
It is, but it's still fun. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those games you shut off your brain and just run with it and run through. So I'm actually having fun with it because again, I don't know what it is. It started maybe about 6 months ago, and I told you in all my gaming history, I've always just played one game and that's it. Finish it or get off of it, move on to the next. I'm juggling two and three games at the same time. So I always try to have one in my PC, one in my Xbox, one in my PlayStation, and actually one in my Switch too that I'll play. But yeah, I was bouncing back and forth from Silent Hill remake to the RoboCop. So I'm enjoying the RoboCop.
That's good. Yeah, so moving on from that, I have been playing Borderlands 4 and Hell is Us. Cherry Tomato Boy says Active Rail Nation reporting in. What is good? But yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 4 recently, put about 9 hours into the game. I'm exclusively playing it co-op with some friends back at home. It's Borderlands. At the end of the day, I'm really enjoying Borderlands 4 because there's the copy. At the end of the day, I didn't enjoy Borderlands 3 as much as I would have liked. Borderlands 3 had a good core gameplay because the weapons felt great, the movement felt great, but the story was very lacking, and it just felt lackluster compared to Borderlands 2. I like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands better than Borderlands 3 because I think the setting and the world was a little bit more interesting, kind of layering the D&D fantasy on top of Borderlands and actually having like D&D dice to roll and kind of using different magical spells that you would find in a D&D world. That being said, Borderlands 4 is a huge return to form. It is much more reminiscent of a Borderlands 2 with the Borderlands 3 gameplay, but it's just upgraded. And Borderlands 4 feels great. There is a lot of performance issues at the moment on console and PC. Good old Randy Pitchford said it's the user's fault for the performance issues. He said you need to go code your own engine if you
Isn't there a lot of people complaining about the FOV, the field of view?
That is only on console.
Okay.
The console doesn't have FOV sliders just yet, but it is in the works. But besides that, performance issues aside, Borderlands 4 is a great video game. Borderlands has always been, turn your mind off, run around shooting and collecting loot. And it has a great gameplay loop, and it's all I could ask for. It is the calm before the storm of fall season, as DJ alluded to. We have Battlefield 6, we got Ghost of Yotei, we have Arc Raiders, we have Silent Hill F literally this week. There's many games coming out that I'm looking forward to, so Borderlands is definitely helping fill that void a little bit. Alongside Hell is Us. Hell is Us is something that we talked about on the most anticipated chat a while back, and it is pretty good so far. It is very daunting, as this game is a heavy investigative game. There is no compass. Well, there is a compass, but you don't know where to go. They do not direct you where to go in this game at all. You have to completely rely on context clues. You have to do a lot of reading. You have to listen to what people are saying in order to actually figure out what to do in the quest storyline. That the combat is solid enough. It is Souls-ish, but not with the difficulty of Souls, but it is very reminiscent of a Souls kind of combat system. But yeah, Hell is Us is pretty interesting. I think the world and the story is the best part of it so far. It's set in this, super sci-fi Civil War country that is currently unfolding. I'm not far into the story, but it is very depressing. There is a lot of heavy imagery that they use in the game. There's a lot of content warnings that go into the game. You do see just a lot of violence and brutality of what is happening, but so far I'm enjoying it. But I do feel like I am going to fall from it for a little bit as Silent Hill comes out and we have a lot of video games to play coming up. Before we move on into the actual topic about live service, Shemplu says that they've been playing Ashes of Creation and just started Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I absolutely adore Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I put 95 hours into that game earlier this year, 100%ed it. I'm only missing like 5 achievements, but I did every quest in the game. I absolutely love KCD 2. It is a phenomenal peasant simulator. It is in my top 5 games of the year so far. It really scratched.
I loaded that up. I loaded it into my Xbox. Some other things came out because you told me that once you get into it, you spend time with it. And I keep looking and saying, I don't have the time to sit down with it. I don't have the time to sit. So it's been loaded into my Xbox. I just didn't play it yet, but it's on my backlog here.
That's
and Cherry Tomato Boys.
I was going to say Kingdom Come, right, is going to be probably Game of the Year, it seems like. Do you guys do a Game of the Year podcast yet?
We will.
We're going to do the Game of the Year podcast, but it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be even in the running. I think
it's in a lot of people's top list. Like when you see Game of the Year list, like Kingdom Come is like up there for a lot of people.
Here's my thought process on it. I would love to see KCD 2 nominated. I don't think there's a world where it beats Expedition 33 this year. Expedition 33 is like the industry swan song. Like it is, a small development team. They broke away from AAA corporations. They made this phenomenal game that harkens back to old school JRPGs with a modern twist. Story's incredible. They had a lot of voice. Like, I think it's just everything that went into the story about this game is crazy. I think KCD 2 fans are very loud, but I think it's also a very niche game. I don't think KCD 2 speaks to everyone. And you can say the same about Expedition 33 because it is a turn-based game and that doesn't speak to everyone either. But I think the story behind Expedition is what's going to carry it all the way to the Game of the Year winning, also just being a phenomenal game. It is my current Game of the Year, and I don't see anything taking that on.
Yeah, you're going to see Split Fiction in there. You're going to see Donkey Kong in there. You're going to
Death Stranding 2.
Yeah. It's not going to make it. As much as I thought it would, I don't think the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to make it.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is an incredible year for video. One of the best years in gaming in a long time. Like just banger after banger every single week. It's crazy. It's hard to keep up with everything. It's just. Yeah, I mean, even harkening back, like Dune Awakening came out this year. Like, it's just there's so much that has happened. But yeah, thinking about Dune Awakening, I think that's a good segue, as Dune Awakening is a live service game. So today we're going to be discussing, are live service games working? And that is a very high level loaded question. But live service games, for the audience, we're going to do some definition work here. But I'm going to open up the floor to you two and myself. What is the healthiest definition of a live service game for you? For example, what is commonly as an example for live service games, you can look at Destiny as a big prime example. You could look at failed games like Anthem as well. That was considered a live service. Sea of Thieves, which is always running, that's a live service game. So let's kind of break down what is a live service game, because some people also might think MMO falls into that area, but MMO is its own genre. So let's start breaking it down for the audience.
I think the biggest one has to be Fortnite.
Yeah.
But go ahead, DJ.
Well, I was going to ask you, that's a good thing you brought up. So you would differentiate MMO from live service. Do you separate those two?
I would think so. Like, in my mind, an MMO is a very different game than a live service. But here's the thing. Live service takes MMO elements. So this is where there's an interesting cross-section. But I realistically don't consider World of Warcraft a live service. I consider that a massive.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Like it just feels like one. Like, and I was curious where the details of the difference might be, and there might be. So I'm not.
Well, that's going to lean back to you, DJ. What Kobe just asked, and I'll give mine. What's your definition of what a live service game is?
Well, I think fundamentally, it's like a bird's eye, view. I think it's where they're constantly giving you content updates in any form or fashion. It could be a new map, new enemies, cosmetics, and all these different things. You could tell they're evolving the game, they're growing it, they're shifting it, they're changing it. So that's like the bird's eye view, and then there's the devil's in the details, right? There's so many nuances of the way that's expressed, and so for me. I guess it's a good point, because when I think of World of Warcraft, I felt like that was my first live service game, but they weren't necessarily adding new content, but they were updating the game every week, whether it be bugs and fixes, because it was such a massive game, and we were paying $15 a month to play this game. But and then eventually they did get into expansions, but then you had to pay for it. So I guess it is a good point. Maybe MMOs are a little different. But I guess it just depends on the MMO.
So I pulled up a differentiator here. Here's a description I pulled online. A live service is a business model that focuses on a game's ongoing monetization and player engagement through continuous updates and microtransactions, while an MMO game is a genre characterized by shared, large-scale, persistent worlds where many players interact. All MMOs function as live services, but not all live services are MMOs, as live services can exist in single-player or smaller-scale multiplayer games. The core distinction lies on the focus. Live service emphasizes player retention and revenue generation, while MMOs emphasize player interaction and a shared persistent world.
That makes sense. Okay, there's a little, the devil's in the details, right? So there is a difference, because I do look back and don't see. I just saw more maintenance from World of Warcraft, paying a fee every week or every month, rather than like updates that they were giving. So I could see that, but I guess it just depends on the MMO. But I think to Kevin's point, like Fortnite's huge, right? That's like the live service game that's massive about it. But yeah, I think you're right. Like regular content updates, community engagement, ongoing monetization. Like I guess those are the crux or the fundamentals of live service. And they may, like you said, be in an MMO or may not be.
Yeah, see, I never looked at it that way. I always thought that the easiest definition of live service, from my opinion, was constant support and ongoing content, like never-ending content. They just keep putting it out. Because if you really look at Fortnite started off as a game that was paid. I think it was $39.99 when it came out, and nobody was playing it. And then they're the ones that kind of jumped in. I know PUBG started the Battle Royale, but they put out this free version of the Battle Royale, and then it just exploded. And they've been doing ongoing content probably more than anybody in a live service game right now. In my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's probably the most successful live service game that's out there.
Yes. Fortnite? I would assume so at this point. I mean, it is continuously making tons of money, and obviously you can see through all the brand deals that Fortnite has, like where it currently is in the industry. Lady brings up a question. Sims is live then, and 5M is MMO? Question mark. I'm not sure what 5M is. Maybe DJ, do you know what 5M is?
Yeah, that's a Grand Theft Auto role play. It's called 5M.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that'd be considered MMO. I don't know that it would fit in live service. Those tend to be free to play, and then you don't really need to pay for anything other than updates, cosmetics. But yeah, that's MMO-esque, I suppose.
Well, don't you feel that Grand Theft Auto 5, the online play, that's got to be
that's a live service. Yeah,
that is a live service game. Yeah. Yes, and I think that's where like it gets weird with these definitions. But like they said, a live service game could initially be like a single player game, but also expands into a multiplayer mode. As we're going to be talking about later, Helldivers 2 is this live service game as well, because they're continuously feeding with new cosmetics, new updates. But it's not an MMO because, well, you go in with a squad of 4, but it is a shared world where everyone is progressing to the same thing. So, like I said, live service can take MMO elements, but they're not inherently MMO.
Question going back to Lady, though, just for my edification, would Sims be a live service? Because they come out with new Sim games. I don't know enough about it. Like if I go back to the Sims that was on the PlayStation 2, is that a live service that just keeps adding? Because I see different games that come out.
It'd be like DLC. Isn't it like DLC stuff? Isn't that more how they operate?
Yeah. So the Sims 4 operates on a live service model, as that is the current Sims that is happening as they're going to continuously release new content. But, Sims is more traditionally, I think, a single player game as well, but they do have live service elements as they are continuously drip feeding updates and content to people. As I want to kind of bring it out, do any of you currently play live service games? Has any of them hooked you? And if so, why has it hooked you? What has worked in a live service game for each of you?
So I guess if you kind of take away, like, let's say World of Warcraft, let's put MMOs aside for a second. I guess the one live service game that stands out to me, would you put League of Legends in that category? I think I would. I don't know if you guys mess with League of Legends or not, but that would seem like one of my first live service games with constant updates, rotating champions to play. And the key for me, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, is free to play. That's a good fundamental like area for like monetization where I'm kind of okay with where the monetization comes after the fact of like you can play this for free. So like in League of Legends, they rotate like 4 or 5 champions. And eventually you could play one of the champions you missed down the line. But you can play the game for free, 4 or 5 champions, and then you can buy the champions, and then you can buy the skins. And I think it's the first time I ever bought skins in a video game was League of Legends. I think it was the first time I ever bought champions as well. And it just felt okay to me. I didn't feel like I was getting taken advantage of. I didn't feel like it was like a skeezy monetization thing that we see some developers do because the game was free to play. I had champions to play from. I could buy them if I wanted. The cosmetics were fun. I'm going to buy those too. So that ecosystem feels good, and I think they make a ton of money. League of Legends does.
So. And I do want to hone in on the free-to-play element because I think this is a good segue as we were talking about it earlier. So obviously, Arc Raiders is coming out this October, and Arc Raiders is classified as a live service extraction shooter. And with this game coming out, it is priced at a base model of $40. So how are you feeling about that as they are having this live service model? It is inherently a $40 game, and they are going to be live service. It's going to be in that Escape from Tarkov realm or even a Hunt Showdown where you do pay a premium price, not full price game, but you can go upwards to like $60, I think, as there are the deluxe editions of this game. But with Arc Raiders coming out, it is still a base of $40, and there are going to be skins and other microtransactions in the game. So I do want to kind of talk about this. And if this is truly one of the big pitfalls of live service, do you think all live service games do need to be free to play, or is there a sweet spot here in the middle where you can have a paid live service game? Rematch, another example, that's a $30 game, and that is considered live service, but they also have microtransactions.
Well, let me ask a question because I'm a little still fuzzy here because I think there's some games that blur the line, and it's upon what you just said about paying for it. Fallout 76.
Yes, that is a live service game.
But you paid for the game originally, so it's not free to play, and it's supported by microtransactions. So again, I would look at that you're talking about playing. I was hooked on Fallout 76. What kept me hooked on it is I am a Fallout fan. So as you could feed me more of that world, that's what hooked me. And I don't know that I can get hooked on any live service game that doesn't hook me as like a massive fan. Like I'm just like a Gears of War. If Gears of War came out with it, a live service, I'd be hooked because I'm entrenched in that world. So that's what would keep me on a live. Now, would I try like a Fortnite or any of these? Try them, yes, but live and breathe. You see some of these people that are on Fortnite for the last 10 years, and things like that. Like, I don't know that I could do that unless I'm invested into the world.
Yeah, I think for me, like when you look at a game like Rematch, you pay $30 for it, and then you do the battle pass. I got the battle pass, but then I really wasn't impressed with the offerings. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, oh, everything was just okay. You know what I mean? And so I think that if you're free, I would have more of like a forgiveness for anything that seemed monetized, right? So games like Once Human, live service game, but it's free to play. And it's mostly cosmetics or skins, and that's like great. The other one was Delta Force, free to play. So I don't think free to play excuses you from like going crazy with microtransactions and feeling kind of scammy that way, but it does offer a little bit of a forgiveness for it. I think when you play $30 for like Rematch or something like that, and then the microtransactions don't feel like there's value behind it, they just seem okay, is where I'm just kind of feel bummed out. Like the Rematch, I was like, I kind of didn't need to use that money on that. So I think I got some sneakers or some high tops. I don't know. But yeah, so that's a good question. I thought Arc Raiders was going to be free to play. Actually, that was my impression, and that they were going to, because wasn't the finals, they developed the finals, was that free to play, or am I?
The finals is free to play. So couple points. One, Cherry Tomato Boys in the chat says League of Legends has done irreparable harm to our society. I saw that comment come across, and it's making me laugh.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that one. It's a toxic game, toxic community.
Yeah, It very much is, and that is an amazing comment. Yeah, so the finals is free to play. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's the same development studio. It might be the same publisher,
Okay.
but someone would need to fact check me on that. However, so yes, Arc Raiders. The only thing is they're doing a server bash. It's the last time you can play for free, October 17th through the 19th on all platforms. So PC, Xbox, PlayStation 5, where the game is going to launch. But that being said, after that, it is a $40 entry point. And this does align with other games of this genre with the extraction shooter. With the extraction shooters, you like I mentioned before, you do have Hunt Showdown, you do have Escape from Tarkov, and those games have had premium price points attached to them in order to actually get in and play the game itself. So for me, and I want to kind of get into what really draws you back to a live service game, because you could even consider Rust a live service game, because that was a game like that was even DayZ was live service, Ark, those are all live service, MMO-ish. This is where it's like a weird cross section. But so now let me ask you this. I know I'm going all over the place, but DJ, knowing that Arc Raiders is a $40 price point, does that deter you from the game a little bit? What is going to bring you into a live service game with a price point? Because it seems like free to play, there is no barrier to entry. And then my other question is, do you think games have a harder time being a live service when it's under a price point? We saw earlier this year or last year, Concord, big PlayStation new IP coming out. It was a new hero shooter. They were touting it to be an expansive new live service game, and it died in 2 weeks because it was under the $40 price point. And also, the hero shooter market isn't where it was supposed to be. They were competing with Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. There's a lot of information here, but let's bring it back to: does Arc Raiders price deter you from playing it? What brings you to a live service game, and what keeps you going?
Yeah, so I don't think it's charging for a live service game, like whatever it's going to be, $30-$60 for Arc Raiders, is a deterrent to me. But there is a caveat there, like just hearing the rumors or the rumblings or the community reaction. So I probably would have skipped by it because I don't know if I want to play another extraction shooter. It doesn't sound like my thing, and I don't want to do it. But then, like, there's a lot of people who said I don't like extraction shooters, and this one's amazing. So kind of hearing the buzz about it is like, okay, I'm going to get into it. How it's going to be expressed microtransactionally is going to be interesting to see. And I think that's where like the rubber meets the road. I don't know what the whole, like the roadmap for that is, how it's going to be expressed. So I think at the end of the day, this community buzz is not going to keep me from that's not going to keep me from the game. It's going to encourage me to play it. But that being said, one of my favorite games that I just love, probably top 10. I don't know that I put it in top 5, but top 10 is Once Human. Love that one. Probably would have never picked it up unless it was free to play. And so that business model, I don't know how it's going for them from a profit standpoint, but that business model got me into it, and I got people into it, right? And we're buying skins for the houses, and I probably put $40-$60, the price of a game, anyway. So I think it just depends on the offerings, and the offerings that they gave was pretty compelling and interesting. So it'll be interesting to see for Arc Raiders if they can follow with that.
Dad, before I pass it off to you, Shemplu in the chat says, to me, live service game is a game that you have to be online to play or connect to some server to authenticate to play. It could be free, no monthly cost.
Could be free. So, okay. Now, because I was about to ask you, sorry to butt in from Kevin. So like a game like Rust, you would consider it live service, even though there's no transaction past the initial like game.
Yes, because if we're going by Shem's definition now, you do need to be required to log in. You need internet to play the game. I also do want to bring up here quick, sorry to cut you off. I pulled up the Arc Raiders thing here. This is just a quick thing where essentially you have the deluxe edition, you got the standard edition. You can see that they are doing a lot of microtransactions with, you see this 2,400 Raider tokens. So I assume there is going to be some kind of store that is to be had in this game itself. But yeah, there's going to be attachments to buy, cosmetics, skins. So it's going to be interesting to see what their actual model is going to be. But I assume there's going to be a battle pass as well.
Well, and then sorry, I'm asking more questions than like answering, but like is an online game different than a live service game? Because I feel like when we say live service, we're not just talking about you connect to it online. Live service has to do with like monetization. Is that? Are we
Yeah,
saying
but
it
that's where I
doesn't
was
have
going
to?
with Rust. Rust doesn't do any updates other than an occasional map they throw in. So it's not story content that keeps it going. To me, that's online play. Like,
Well, then, let me, because we have a lot more topics. We still have to talk about Helldivers. So let me pass this to you, and this is where we're going to get it real funky. Call of Duty, multiplayer, and Warzone are both live service, or do you separate the two entities?
I think they're both online play. I don't think they're live. To me, I'm going back to live service. One, live service, you're on there, it's constant update, and there's new content. Is new content an occasional new map? To me, new content is going back to Fallout 76. They gave, new stories. Going back to Fortnite, there's new stories that they bring out, whether it be new character lines, whether it be this, it's new content. So online play, Rust, again, correct me, DJ, you and I played Rust for a long time. They didn't do anything really new other than skins. And
They do quite a bit of updating with, like, I don't know, maybe they'll add a new gun or a new crafting table. They do quite a bit of updates, but it's not monetized. So I feel like we almost need like separate categories, like live service monetized, live service not monetized. Because Rust, well, like No Man's Sky, like let's say they're the prime example of a live service with no microtransactions or that I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong. No microtransactions, no transactions.
Right.
They just keep dropping banger update after banger update.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's different, a live service, than one.
But that's not a free to play. So
that's a good
no,
point. We need to like a Venn diagram, or we got to split it out into.
Yeah, there is a Venn diagram here that we can. But let me ask you two this then. So, what makes a live service game pop for you? So that I heard you talk about, it has to be the world. Is there any new live service game coming out? You'd be like, you know what, I want to give it a shot. And what makes a live service game fail? Is it the monetization models? Is it just the inherent game design itself that it doesn't look interesting? It's in a saturated environment. Why do certain live service games excel? Why are some failing? Because you see all these companies, corporations, publishers, they are giving an influx of live service games because that is the new buzzword, essentially. That is the new moneymaker for it. What makes it pop for you? What makes it not work? Why are some succeeding where others are failing? You can also, this dates way back to the MMO history of some MMOs absolutely popped off, whereas others failed miserably. So let's talk about that.
I think but the high level, I think it all depends on what area or genre you're getting into. Again, somebody trying to break into the PUBG world, the Call of Duty world, that is the shooter world is just really hard to break into. Now, I'll ask, do we all agree Ark was a live service game?
Ark.
So why would like Ark Raiders or Ark Survival?
Ark Survival.
But didn't you just go on this whole thing how Rust isn't a live service?
That's where but then DJ thought that it was because they're giving content and everything else, and that's where the Venn diagram comes in. But like, again, I think if it's a triple IP, like even World of Warcraft, I know we're saying MMOs and that's separate, but just using that, like, how long's that been going on? That started what in the like late 80s, early 90s?
Some years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so again, they got their followers in. People like the genre, they jumped in. I think it has to, and they could put it StarCraft. They could put out stuff, Warhammer. They could put out stuff, and people are going to jump into it.
I do want to point out that according to IGN, Ark was a live service game. And this also applies to, I want to pull in a comment from Shemplu, where Shemplu says, I think the idea is that they can take it down at any time and game is no live service. And the thing is, because here with Ark Survival Evolved, not Ascended, those servers are down. You cannot play that game anymore unless, so like there is no more dedicated servers. They pulled the plug on the live service, whereas Ascended is the new live service model for the Ark universe. So yeah,
that's a good. I was about to ask you that if they can turn the game off, which I'm not a fan of, by the way. I know there's some rare circumstances where that makes sense, like World of Warcraft. You can't just play it single player. I guess you could. I don't know, but yeah, turning it off, I think is a controversial thing. I think there's actually not legislation, but I think there's a growing movement in Europe. One of those like
stop.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Is the movement.
And is that about live service games? Is that the idea?
Yeah, essentially so we actually had a whole topic about this on the podcast when we were down at Planet Retro Video Games with Dan. But yeah, so Stop Killing Games is a movement. They got as many signatures as they needed in European legislation to put it front. But the big example has always been The Crew, made by Ubisoft, and The Crew essentially the plug got pulled, and if you even own the game physically on a desk, you cannot play that game because it requires a server authentication in order to get into the game. And Shemplu says, yeah, Pirate Software was a streamer who was against it. I did see all that, but that's a whole nother thing, and I do not want to get into that here. But yeah, so Stop Killing Games was like, and because also in Ubisoft's terms and services and conditions, they state whenever you accept it that you do not legally own their game at all. They can pull the plug even if it's a single player game on you. Yeah. So that's the whole thing.
Let me just jump in there a minute. This is what we talked about before, DJ. These, which I call this Fortnite generation of kids growing up, once they shut Fortnite off, they'll never be able to go back to their childhood or play games that they liked. Like, I liked when they had Travis Scott in there or Snoop Dogg, or they did all like that's gone. That's gone.
Skins too, yeah.
Correct. You can't say, "Oh, geez, I want to go back and relive that. I thought that was a great season," that they call it, and you'll never be able to play it again.
Yeah. So we have. This is obviously a very interesting topic, and it's much more. And I'm good to go as long as you guys are. So we can continue. So in the live service realm, and I'll open this up to chat as well, because there needs to be a constant update flow, as we talked about. What is the sweet spot for you two? If you were to be invested in a live service game, what is the update cadence for you so that you feel cared for, but also at a reasonable time that it doesn't burn out developers?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't know that for me, there's like, I'm tracking a reasonable time. Like, we'll go back into Rust. They do. I think they update weekly, like something. They add like an item, right? So they're actually an interesting developer to look at. They're kind of like behind the scenes because they're always updating the game in some meaningful way. I think they're one of the primary examples of the way to do it, and the way that they communicate to the gamers. And so I don't know if there's, I haven't really played a live service game. Like I don't know what Destiny 2 is like, but I feel like there's like a grind and seasonal chores, or there's kind of like FOMO elements to Destiny 2. Maybe someone correct me if I'm wrong about that. And where you feel like you have to get in there to get the thing, to meet the event criteria, to like when there's these second job type things, man, that's going to rob the joy. Like that was a little bit with Once Human. One of the reasons we stopped playing because they had like these 6-week windows, and they extended that, but even then it wasn't extended far enough. And so it was like clocking in, right? Instead of the joy of coming in and playing the game, it was like, I have to go do this. And so when live service becomes like that, for me, it's a negative thing. I don't dig it, and it kind of detracts. I used to get into like, oh, I got to clock in. I got to log in. I got to get my daily or whatever. But now I'm just like, if it has that, I'm not feeling that. It's too much. There's too many other good games out there.
I was going to bring that up. When you have to be a chore and do the daily activities, like I'm just out. I just don't, or I ignore them and I just play the game at my pace. Right. And I play the live game then. If I'm not invested, if it's not something like I said, a Fallout or a Gears that they would do something, I play it just like I would any other game until the joy isn't there or a better game comes out, and then I bounce. That's just really the way that I look at a live service game. I couldn't get enough of Rust. I used to play Rust oh my goodness, I think it's one of the few games like in my top 4 that I have the most hours into.
Yeah, me too.
But then I found things that just happened more. I didn't get bored with it, but I got tired of it.
Mhm.
And then better things came out, and I just moved on, and I never looked back. I had to get out of Fallout 76, and I think it was Shem Plu that got me back into Fallout 76, and I was playing the heck out of that. But it just got to the point where I'm like, look, I'm spending all my precious time that I have to play games on this, and I'm missing out on some great games, so I just bounced.
Yeah. And I think, and I do want to start getting into this very shortly, and I think this is where Helldivers 2 exceeds. I'm going to plant the seed there because I think Helldivers 2 has kind of cracked the model for me in a very big way. But I do want to kind of loop back. DJ, you talked about monetization earlier. So in your mind, what are the what's a green flag model and what is a red flag model for you? That when you see and you go into these live service games, paid, non-paid, and you see the store, what is like, oh, I can buy into this, or it's like, oh no, like this, there's something awfully wrong
I think
here.
the easy one for me is like if it's just cosmetics, like that's what we're paying into. It doesn't feel like it's pay to win. You're not advancing your character. There's a great MMO, Throne and Liberty, fantastic, but you can pay to speed up. Even that feels a little off, right? That is, they say, well, it's not pay to win, it's just pay to advance. No, but they're advancing, which means they're going to win, right?
Well, and I'll even throw in an example from this year. So earlier this year, I played through Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not a live service game by any means. It is a full single-player game. But Ubisoft has went and monetized it and locked the true leveling system behind a paywall. So yeah, you have to go and pay for boosted XP. But realistically, that is the true leveling system that they created. So you are actively leveling at a slower rate if you do not pay the $5 to $10 that they're requesting in order to buy that. There's also map microtransactions in a single player game where icons are locked behind paywalls, or you have to go find them yourself in a single player game.
Man, I'm gonna forget it.
Yeah, no, that was the paywall where I saw. I was like,
that's
wow,
egregious. Was everyone okay with that? Or was there a reaction?
No, everyone complains, but they
keep paying for it.
This is the third
Stop paying for it, man.
Yeah. Well, no, this is the third Assassin's Creed in a row that they've put these models in there. It started with Odyssey, I believe, and ever since then they just keep doing it, and they keep releasing new content that is exclusive armor sets that are legendary and that like actually helps you in the game and makes you a better player. Like it's crazy. Shemplu says, I hate games that make you pay to unlock parts of UI. Star Wars The Old Republic started doing that and I bailed.
Yeah, I agree. But wasn't Call of Duty making you having that ability to pay so you boost quicker XP?
I mean, there are XP tokens, and I also don't agree. I think the leveling system, like, so that's where we're getting to an interesting thing where if they're giving away double XP tokens for free, I'm fine with that. But like, it's a weird thing. Like when you level up in Call of Duty, it's not necessary. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic.
I was about to, you know what? And it might be like, I might be inconsistent because I play not a ton of it, but a game like Warframe, it's free to play. And you could pay to advance, but for some reason I don't mind it in that game. I don't know. I guess maybe because it's mainly PvE, where these other ones where pay to advance in PvP environments just doesn't feel right. But now that I'm talking about it out loud, Warframe, you can pay to accelerate whatever crafting, but I'm not going against another player. And so I guess it feels okay. And it doesn't bother me when I'm in Warframe not advancing myself because someone else paid.
But you would pay in Assassin's Creed? It's the same thing with Assassin's Creed then.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. That's where maybe there's inconsistencies. Maybe it's how the developers treat the gamer. Like that just seems weird. Point POIs on a map and all that. And maybe it's because I feel like Warframe just gives you so much, right? So if it feels like a developer is withholding and then they want some more, whatever you got, that's like, man. But if a dev or a game is just like, here, play this, take this. Oh, by the way, do you want to pay to go a little faster? Oh yeah, sure. You know what I mean?
And I think the big differentiator here is, as a culture, we have been kind of primed for it to be somewhat acceptable in a multiplayer game in order, because even since the old 360 days, I remember getting the double XP tokens on Mountain Dew bottles for a Call of Duty, a Halo, or whatever. Like those models have been around forever, and I think we've been trained as a society to just kind of morally accept that. Whether that is ethically wrong or not, that's another conversation. If leveling up faster guarantees you better play, hopefully as a game, your game should be balanced enough that weapons or perks at a later stage don't really make you super overpowered. That being said, I think it's egregious in a single player game to do that. Something that's just strictly single player, like all those features should already be there to begin with. But I want to start moving on to Helldivers 2, kind of giving our thoughts and review on Helldivers 2, because I think a lot of the topics we talked about really correlates to what that is. But before we get to that, I want to take a quick word from Active Reload Gaming's website, activereloadgaming.com.
Got games you don't play anymore? Turn that collection into cash at activereloadgaming.com. It's fast, it's easy, and you get paid quick. Or if you are looking to buy, check us out on eBay or scroll through our Games by console. Find us at activereloadgaming.com.
And we are back. So I would like to start getting into Helldivers 2, as Helldivers 2 has had a pretty big resurgence this year with the new Into the Unjust update. That just released a month back. It brought so many players into Helldivers 2, along with Helldivers 2 launching on the Xbox platform and releasing the amazing Halo ODST Warbond. I just want to take a step back. DJ, have you even gotten a chance to check out or see the Halo ODST Warbond?
Definitely popped in there and checked it out. It's a lot of fun. I haven't gotten it yet. I have a question behind that in a second, but yeah, I got in there, the addition of the Xbox, and in short, like we're talking about this whole live service thing, like I think Helldivers does it really well, and I really enjoy Helldivers quite a bit, and I feel like their updates are meaningful. They're always creating like story content. There's always this. It feels alive. It feels like they're moving things forward in story, interaction, community engagement. And that type of like live service, I think, is just amazing because it's evident, it's apparent, and you just see it. It's not like you're wondering, right? And you're not withheld from anything.
100%. And I fully agree. Helldivers 2 is the one live service game that brings me back. Shemplu says, is that game on Game Pass? If you're referring to Helldivers 2, no, it is not. It is, you have to pay. You have to pay wherever you're at, whether it's on PlayStation, Steam, Xbox. It is a $40 play wall. I'm going to throw up some gameplay here from IGN so we can have some stuff
Tony will
for
never
people to watch.
Put a game on Game Pass.
So yeah, that being said, DJ, I fully agree with you. Helldivers 2 is the game that really, to me, landed the perfect balance between it all. And I really want to start, let's start with just our feelings of Helldivers 2 first. All of us have played Helldivers 2 at some point. Dad, you hopped on when that game initially launched last year. I've been playing it a lot this month, and I also played it. And DJ, I remember you playing it a lot. So let's just, roundtable first. Like overall, before any of the updates and everything, what was your opinions on Helldivers 2 as a video game? Dad, I want to start with you.
I thought it was outstanding. I thought it was a refreshing game for me that, you talk about, four player, right? Four player.
Four player co-op.
And I thought that the teamwork that you needed to do in that, I thought was really refreshing. I felt that it was unique enough that it brought up a lot of accomplishment. I loved, being able to select at any given point, like how hard you wanted to go with enemies, where you wanted to drop in the universe. So I absolutely loved it. I thought it reminded me a lot of what was the movie with the bugs, Star Trooper.
It's 100% Starship Troopers, especially. Yeah, especially with the narrative around like managed democracy, kind of like the propaganda play that they do, very similar to Starship Troopers. Yeah. And I think, I do agree with you. The core of Helldivers 2 has always been a great video game. It is, when this game released, it was a cultural movement. Everyone was hopping on the Helldivers 2. It had like a concurrent player count of 850,000 players. Like this was the game to play. And I think a lot of people were a little trepidatious hopping into Helldivers at a certain point because it's like, another co-op game, another live service. Does this do anything different? And I think the thing with Helldivers 2 that has always stuck with me is, one, its narrative theming. I think it has such a unique narrative theming for the video game space. I love how silly the game is. Like, this is a hilarious video game at the end of the day. When you have your Helldivers running around screaming, democracy. I had unfortunately it's not here yet, but I did have a Helldivers helmet that I was going to throw on for this podcast and start screaming about democracy. But maybe I'll do a stream at a certain point with me just in the helmet screaming. But yeah, just like the quips that the Helldivers throw around as you're running on these small but open world missions. And I think the mission variety in Helldivers 2 always brought me back, because when the game first launched, there was only two races of enemies, and it was the Terminids and the Automatons. And realistically, while the mission types felt the same, the large scale battles that were happening were so different. You had Starship Troopers on one side, and then you had Star Wars Galactic Warfare on another side. And I think the way that the game actually feels is so different from level to level, and each level can take up to 45 minutes max. I think it has a good get out style play. You have your main objective that you can do, but there's also tons of side objectives that you can take on in these small maps. And like you said, the camaraderie that you form with your co-op players is truly amazing. But before we can keep talking, DJ, I want to hear your base level thoughts of Helldivers 2 before any of the updates happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love the game. I think it's so good. It's one of my favorites. Really was a surprise to me how much I enjoyed it. But I think it just represents live service done right. It just doesn't feel exploitative. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but there's no pay to win, and it's mostly cosmetics. The one question I did have, is there anything that is removed from the shop that you can't get when they introduce it, or is it all consistently there?
And for audience context, Helldivers 2 does a little bit something weird and interesting with their microtransactions shop. So it is separated into two areas. You have what are called war bonds, and you also have your superstore. Superstore is essentially rotating cosmetics that come in and out of the store. There are timed cosmetics that you can buy, and these cosmetics, these armor sets is more than just looks. They do have actual stats to them, passive effects. You can also buy different kinds of weapons in the store. And then there are war bonds. And essentially, war bonds is your main way of progressing in the game, along with actually unlocking stratagems. Stratagems are fully funded through in-game requisition points that you get for beating levels. And then where I think Helldivers does it best, there's a lot to be had, but you get these war bonds. And war bonds is essentially what you do or war medals, to progress through the war bonds. So you do have the basic war bond that everyone gets right off the rip in the game that has tons of items. And if you never buy another war bond again in this game, you do not feel left out at all, because all the items and equipment are super well balanced at this point. Everyone has a fighting chance. And a lot of it does come down to the actual stratagems in the game. The stratagems are essentially these overpowered abilities that you can do and call in to really help the tide of the battle. And that is where I think everyone gets on the same playing field, but what your actual main equipment is varies a little bit between what you have from the war bond. War bonds beyond the basic one is paid, but you can earn the actual premium currency in game by running around and picking up as collectibles in the level. So you do not have to pay another dime in this game beyond the initial price point to actually be able to purchase these war bonds to unlock more cosmetics. I have buddies who do not spend any money on the super credits, but they've bought 2 to 3 new war bonds that have released already because they're running around and actually just collecting the currency in the game.
So cosmetics do rotate out. Do they come back in, or is it gone forever?
They do come back in. The only one that I've seen that has not come back in, and it might be only exclusive on the PlayStation platform, is the Killzone set. Killzone had a set, but I have not seen it come back since its launch.
Yeah, because I would say that would be a negative. But if I don't mind if it rotates out and rotates in, but if it's this is the only time you're going to get it and then it's gone, that'd be a negative for me. But it seems like they rotate back in. So again, thumbs up for Arrowhead.
I do want to add there, that's something you touched upon. this game was perfectly balanced from the day that it dropped. Like, I think the balance of this game is outstanding, one of the better ones. I don't think things are overpowered, they're OP or they're under. I think everything is spot on, and I do believe this is one of the best co-op games I've played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, the community driven war effort. Like, I don't know that there's another game, and I have to think about this, where I felt such a camaraderie, just with all the platforms. Like, especially when the Xbox came in. Now you've got everybody like working together, to fight the automatons or whatever. And I just never felt that. Because it's always like, PlayStation is better, Xbox is better. But in Helldivers, it's like we're all fighting, a singular war effort. But just hats off to the dev, because they have like really meaningful updates, and the world just feels alive. And I think, like, when we talk about live service games for this podcast, I think, does the game feel alive? Does it feel like they're breathing life into it? Does it feel continual? Or does it feel like, these microtransactions just to grab money from us? And it doesn't seem like these devs do that. It seems like they really care about the world building, and they're inviting the player to join them. And then, shoot, take my money. You know what I mean? At that point, like, whatever war bond's coming through and the ODST, there you go. You feel good about it. I bet you No Man's Sky, people would pay for these updates, but they're just giving them out for free. So that's crazy. But Helldivers 2, amazing. Love it.
Cherry Tomato Boy says the arc thrower and shield generator were like a word about balance. So yeah, there are still some broken things, but I think in terms of balance, like, at no point does anyone feel more powerful than the other. Like, I think everyone is still kind of on an even playing field. Like, yeah, there is, like, as you level up, you get access to better stratagems to help, but that is just natural leveling progression. It's not locked behind any microtransactions.
It's your loadouts that you're putting in.
Essentially, yeah. And, some weapons, I think, are better for certain situations. Like, but, overall, I think it is pretty decent. And I agree. The one thing, we kind of touched on it earlier, where it's like, I feel like I have to log in every day for like an MMO or a live service game. The one thing that Helldivers 2 does really well, so there are these major orders that are essentially the big quests that everyone is going towards, and they usually designate it on a planet. But you do not have to log in to reap the reward of a major order. Like, if you have not touched the game in like 3 months, log back on. Every major order that was completed prior, you get the rewards for it. It does. All it requires is you to have logged into the game once, and then it automatically counts you towards the war efforts. So you never feel like you are falling behind, or if you have FOMO in a sense. And I think it does that extremely well, because once again, you never have to touch this game for the longest time, come back, and you're cool. Now, I think the FOMO elements are seeing how cool some of these new levels are. It's like, with the new update that came out called Into the Unjust, they've been teasing story-wise the Hive Lord for over a year. And the Hive Lord in the Term of the World's finally here, and it's a spectacle to be had. This huge worm creature that is absolutely chasing you around the entire map, slamming down. It's amazing. But yeah, I think the only FOMO to be had in Helldivers is, are you missing out on the actual new levels that are being added? It's not, do I need to log in to reap the reward of the game?
Yeah, and like, for me, like, again, we kind of talked about it earlier. If it's a second job type of thing, you have to come in, you have to do that. And yeah, I'm out. We don't have time for that. And it's interesting. I just wonder, like, the future of live service games, like, to be careful on their design, because there's just too many good games out. Indie wise, AAA wise, it's too much competition. And if your live service game demands and requires you to clock in, then I don't know. I think you're going to lose people. So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, like, in the future.
So have you been able to check out any of the new updates? So, like, as I said, when the game first launched, there was 2 races of enemies. There was a whole nother race of enemy added later on, known as the Illuminate. And the game has just had a steady progression of updates as time went on. So had you had any time to check out anything recently?
Yeah, we definitely played, particularly when the Xbox came on board. We were like, let's go join our brothers and fight in Helldivers. So definitely played it in August for a few days, and had a blast with it. When the Illuminati invaded Super Earth, we played a ton of Helldivers, and that was fun. It was like, it just felt just so alive too. Like, hey, we gotta we got to land in New York. They called it something else, New Haven or whatever their name was. But like, hey, we're going to New York. We got to defend it. And we would just like type like that on Discord. Hey, New York's under attack. We got to go Australia. And so, yeah, fighting for Super Earth was a lot of fun. And probably one of like a very memorable gaming moment for me, just the excitement and the camaraderie and let's go defend Super Earth together. So yeah, the game's so good. And we've been messing with it for sure.
And I do want to touch on that because as we've said, ever since the game is released, it has had such cultural impact within the video game space. What is about the culture of Helldivers that draws you back? Like the camaraderie is one of your big speaking points here. So why do you think Helldivers has this cultural impact? And is the community what's really driving this game to still be as successful as it is?
I think it's many things. I think it's the way the game is designed. So, for instance, like impossible odds, right? Like you're expecting to die, and you go with your brothers and sisters, and you're just shot down in these hell pods, and you have to just to survive as long as you can and complete your mission. And then they ramp up the difficulty. What's the highest one? I think
it's now Super Hell Dive. They introduced a new difficulty level with one of the later updates. It was up to it was 1 through 9, but they released the 10th difficulty.
10. Yeah, okay, we did 10. Yeah, and just the like feeling that impossibleness with a group of friends trying to accomplish this. Just that alone. Is just such a powerful like gaming experience, and then you feel connected to everyone else doing it, right? So when you jump into a zone or an area, you see all the Helldiver ships, you see the drop pods coming down. I even saw a video. Didn't a player come in and what's like the Mother Earth space station or the USS something? I forgot the name of the. He actually saw it in space. He like jumped in and it was right there. I guess whatever gives the orders.
That's awesome.
Command center. So I think it's just the way the game is designed. I think the community's passion that got behind it. There was that little hiccup where didn't Sony want you to create a PlayStation ID or something like that?
Yeah, they wanted a PlayStation account, which would have essentially banned the game from multiple countries.
Yeah. So after that fiasco, but that was the only little hiccup I saw in my mind. But yeah, just everything about the game, the design, the camaraderie, the impossibility of it, that it feels sometimes, accomplishing it together, and then just the lore, like the tongue-in-cheek democracy, capitalism, oil, all that stuff. So just everything about it just makes it such a fantastic like co-op experience.
Now, Dad, have you had a chance to go back to Helldivers? And if not, do you ever plan on going back to Helldivers at this point? Because you were a fan of the original release, and the game has, while still remained its core identity, it has changed quite a bit. Do you at all want to experiment with any of the new updates?
I would, and I did not go back to it, but I have watched numerous hours on Twitch, of the Halo, because that's what really brought me into it. But again, the whole thing with me is I wouldn't jump into this solo. It would have to get the group back together and jump in and kind of do it that way. But I would in a heartbeat because I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, and like I said, I have put 30 hours into this game since the Halo ODST and into the Unjust update has launched, and I am just absolutely pleasantly surprised with where Helldivers is at as a game. Like DJ said, there was that kind of blip in there where we had kind of the fiasco, and realistically, Helldivers had an uphill battle after that because a lot of people were going against the game, saying this is not right. Rightfully so. The game should not be banned and should not require this identification. But that being said, they persevered and they kept giving more and more updates to the game, and it's honestly still one of the best multiplayer experiences I keep having, because no matter what, a run never feels stale. Like I can play the same mission type over and over and over again, but I think what Helldivers does so well is those cinematic unscripted story moments. Like you can play a story game and you can have these super like well thought out shots with the cinematography, and it just feels super cinematic. Helldivers has nothing scripted besides, AI and like events happening, but the game is so unscripted and it feels so scripted at the same time with how cinematic it is. And it literally feels like the best sci-fi movies put together all in one package.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and then they do like little fun elements, right? Like you're shooting like this orbital cannon, and you have to like line it up, and you're fighting the arachnids behind you, right, or the Illuminati behind you, and lining up this orbital cannon, and then the next thing you'll be doing is saluting a flag that needs to be raised for Super Earth, and there's like this anthem, behind you, and there's like war sounds, and you're just sitting there trying to get the flag up. So yeah, they just do super unique things and it does feel like a movie, right? Just crazy, over the top, action packed. The music, the voice lines, all of it. Yeah. So, and then I hadn't thought about this, and you just mentioned it, which is a good point. Like to some degree, it's very repetitive, but it doesn't feel like it at all. Like, and I never even thought about that. I was like, yeah, there isn't much. I mean, there is a lot of variety, but also there isn't. I don't know, that sounds contradictory, but the game just, I don't know, just does such a good job with it that I don't even think of it, being repetitive at all.
Yeah. And, Shemplu in the chat says, I don't find the game interesting because it feels like, and this is based on nothing but what I know of the game is just rinse, repeat, massive waves of mobs, very repetitive ? And to an extent, I'll say yes, but it's also the unknown and the randomness of the game that really makes it not feel rinse and repeat. And also, there are so many different mission styles and structures. One of them is launching an ICBM that you are going to destroy colonies. Another one is one of the new levels. You are driving around this huge oil rig and you are extracting minerals from one of the hive worlds in order to get it back to Super Earth. It harkens back to a day of Left 4 Dead, and I think you two were big Left 4 Dead players as well, but of just like, you do the same rinse and repeat levels, but it's just that game director kind of talking behind you and making it so random that every level, even you can say with a roguelite, like, for example, Hades, that game was rinse and repeat, but it's that randomness factor that makes it feel fresh and unique every run. And I think that's what Helldivers really nails. It's a combination of so many different games.
And I just want to add there that I never once felt that it's rinse and repeat. And technically, it's kind of open world.
Yes, it is.
It's not linear. So that's where I would feel that it would be rinse and repeat if it was linear. But it's not. So, yes, there's certain missions that you have to do next. But like Kobe said, there's side quests, if you want to look at it, that you can attack it in any which way. Never once do I feel that this is like, oh my goodness, here we go again.
Yeah.
And never once.
And each planet is different with different maps and different points of interest. Like, they really make it feel unique level to level.
Yeah, I think I know what as Shemplu was saying. That there is, because when you look at it like on paper, it is repetitive, but it doesn't feel like it in execution. Because and maybe it just comes down like even just throwing down a 500 kilogram bomb, and every time is just like amazing, right?
Yeah,
you're like running from it, and so we've done that like 100 times. We've thrown down a 500, run from it, looked back, and screamed. Right? Never gets old. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot of fun,
and
even if it is repetitive, so to speak.
Learning the loadout, depending on what enemy you're against, is another thing. Like you can, it's really learning the different loadouts. But I agree with you, DJ, throwing that like, oh my, I threw it and somebody's standing next to it. And you're screaming to run.
Hell bomb.
Yeah. And the other thing, you brought up a good point. Oh God, now I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, always throwing down the bomb never gets old. And like, throwing down an orbital laser and seeing like it just kind of cleave through all the enemies is still just such a satisfying feeling. The thing I wanted to say though is one of the parts of the game that people really don't touch on as well is kind of how the combat feels very sim heavy in a sense. Like, it is not an easy game to play by any stretch of the means. Like, the weapons feel realistic. Like, you have sway. Like, you are like, if you reload a magazine, like whatever was left in that mag is gone. That ammo is gone completely. Like, there is a sense of realism and simulation heavy like combat to this game. It's also like the movement system feels very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid 5, but the actual combat is more along like of a military sim. Like, the amount of bullet drops that you have to account for, like I said, the sway, the recoil. It's not an arcadey feeling game by any stretch of the means. Like, even driving vehicles and like driving the mechs, you are slowly turning. You need to account for everything in this game, and like you get broken bones. If you get hit by an enemy, like it can completely incapacitate you. You can move slower. You can lose ability in your arm. Like there's so much more to this game than like what DJ said and what is on paper. And I think that's what makes Helldivers 2 super special.
Oh, I love it. One of the things, this is completely unnecessary for a player to do, but this is what I do sometimes. Like if there's a horde coming of whatever, and I'm running, and I'll just like whatever the button it is to do the dive, and then you like land on your back, and you just start shooting from like a, and I just like yell, ah! It's completely unnecessary. I could be running and doing that, right?
You go full Rambo mode.
But it just feels amazing just to dive in my back and just like.
I actually like the respawn system, that it's not like, okay,
that's cool.
Just run in Rambo, die. There's so many respawns you have before you have to earn back that respawn.
Yeah, respawn is a currency in this game in your level. Like it's 5 per player that is in, and you could rip through your reinforcements immediately if you're dying. And like you really like there is strategic thinking about this game as well. Like there's been many moments where my buddies and I see a crowd and we go stealth mode. We're like, okay, we need to start sneaking past, like throw on the suppressors, like do not alert these enemies, because if we are seen and we alert them, we're dead and we're not getting this currency back. But yeah, I think overall, to start kind of wrapping down this episode, if Helldivers 2 1 year later, I think has just continuously become a stronger game. I think when Helldivers 2 launched, I think I would have rated it a 7 out of 10. I think it had its problems, but the core of that game was so undeniably strong. And as updates continued, as balance and progression mattered more, as they continue to add more incentives for you to keep coming back, like now you can go level up your weapons, you can put attachments on, you can customize the camos, there's more stratagems than ever, there's more war bonds than ever, and there's more content than ever. I would like give Helldivers 2 in its current state like a strong 9 out of 10. I still think it has some problems, but I think this game just continues to deliver. And there is no other game like this out on the market currently. And I think it is the community that brings me back. It is the level design. It is the variety of the enemies, what they're actually doing. And, like from when the game first launched, the Terminids had maybe like 9 different enemies. Now there's well over 15 to 20. Like now they have flying dragons in the game. There's now a Hive Lord. Like they continue to iterate and evolve on the old and still keep it feel like its core identity, but make it feel fresh every time I launch that game. And Helldivers 2, I think, is well worth the $40 price. And as we kind of talked about live service this entire time, it's one that truly works. There isn't a bad red flag monetization model. I can buy into the monetization here, and I'm fully in on Helldivers 2. DJ, if you had to score Helldivers 2 in its current state and what you've played, what do you think you would give it on out of a 10?
Yeah, its current state, I'd solid 9, no less than an 8.5. It's just really good, and I think there's, like you said, co-op experiences like it's one of the funnest. It's hard to find one that could beat that experience.
And Dad, I know you haven't tried it, but from what you do remember Helldivers, what would you have rated the game?
8.5. I would give it.
That's for sure. Shemplu in the chat says flying dragons, so it's Skyrim. Yeah, Skyrim with guns. But yeah,
now I want to go play it now. I'm gonna go download it again.
Yeah, I always have it downloaded. But yeah, as we start to wrap down here, do any of you have any more thoughts on live service games in general, on Helldivers 2 in general, before we wrap this thing up?
I just think live service games are here to stay. I think they're just part of the gaming community at this point. I know there's people that, for whatever reason, whether it's economic or just their casual playing, will jump into the live service games that are free to play. I just think they're here. It's a genre that's here to stay within it. Just like that the battle royale started out and everything. I just think that's a gameplay that's here to stay. I think the live service is here to stay as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think it's leaving. I think it just needs some type of evolution or tweaking, and perhaps devs and publishers are trying to figure that out. So it's not so much should it exist, but can it be done in like a meaningful way that like players actually love? And I kind of think of it like a home to go to, but not like a job to clock into. So if it feels like I can just go there anytime, and maybe not miss a beat, just get updated real quick, like Helldivers. Fantastic. If I go there and I missed out and who knows what happened and the currency is this and I have to buy this, then yeah, I'm out. So
Yeah. And with that being said, DJ, where can everyone find you? Plug all your socials right here as we start to wrap this down.
I appreciate that. Yeah. DjSotoLive on TikTok. That's where a lot of my audience is, where I do a lot of streaming. We're doing a lot of Path of Titans right now, doing some VR. So if you're on TikTok, DjSotoLive. Elsewhere, DjSotoLive on Twitch and on YouTube. I also stream there as well. So those are my main socials.
Amazing. Rampage in the TikTok chat says, love y'all.
See you, Rampage.
And with that, as a reminder, all of our socials can be found right here. Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We are at Active Reload Gaming. Twitter/X and Twitch, we are at Active Rel. That is with an REL, Active Rel Gaming. Next week, we're going to be going over Tokyo Game Show. So this weekend, make sure you tune in to some of the conversation that is happening at Tokyo Game Show. Come in, chat with us, talk about what games you thought looked great. There's a whole bunch of conferences and panels that are happening. We'll be watching it. But we will not be live reacting to it because it's going to be at a very early time for the both of us, and it's just not feasible at the moment. And with that, DJ, once again, thank you for joining the Father and Son Gaming Podcast. It's great always to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for this very chaotic conversation. As it turns out, live service is a lot more ambiguous than we thought it was.
Yeah, it is. Right? That's what we learned.
But yeah, there is a Venn diagram to be had, and I'm sure we're going to have you on in a future podcast because later in October, we would like to talk about VR and handhelds, as I feel like there's a cross intersection between those two devices. And, handhelds are the new up and coming in the market, and VR is in a weird spot. So it'd be good to get into those topics as well.
I got some new thoughts because I know we mentioned it a few weeks ago. Yeah. There's an indie scene growing in VR that's interesting. We'll talk about that.
That'd be great. Be great to hear. And as always, thank you to the chat for chatting. And I hope every one of you has a great Monday and a great rest of your week. Peace all.
See y'all.